The Galactic Alliance, a confederation of technologically advanced alien civilizations, had long scoffed at the primitive humans of planet Earth. Isolated in a forgotten corner of the galaxy, the humans were dismissed as weak, unsophisticated, and unworthy of inclusion in the grand galactic community. Little did the Alliance know, humanity's true strength was about to be unleashed at Asterisk. For centuries, the Alliance had maintained its dominance through a combination of military might, economic prowess, and a belief in their own inherent superiority. They had subjugated countless lesser species, assimilating them into the Alliance's vast bureaucratic machine, content in the knowledge that no challenger could rise to threaten their supremacy. But on the distant world of Earth, a quiet revolution was underway. Driven by a newfound sense of unity and purpose, the once fractured nations of the planet had come together, casting aside their petty differences to form a global government, the United Nations of Earth. This bold move, undetected by the complacent Alliance, would serve as the catalyst for a confrontation that would shake the very foundations of the galactic order. Within the halls of power on Earth, a dedicated team of scientists, engineers, and military strategists had been working tirelessly, harnessing the planet's vast resources and the ingenuity of its people to develop advanced technologies that would rival, and in some cases, surpass the capabilities of the Alliance. From powerful energy weaponry to state-of-the-art spacecraft and defensive systems, the humans had been carefully laying the groundwork for a bold gambit, the day when they would finally assert their place in the galactic community, no longer content to be overlooked and dismissed. As the Alliance's envoy, a pompous and arrogant individual named Xyloth, descended upon the unsuspecting Earth, he carried with him a message of subjugation and a complete disregard for the planet's inhabitants. Expecting an easy capitulation, Xyloth and his entourage arrived in a dazzling display of technological might, confident that their mere presence would be enough to cow the primitive humans into submission. However, their plans were about to be shattered. As Xyloth and his delegation stepped out of their gleaming spacecraft, they were met not with the groveling, awestruck faces they had anticipated, but with the stern, resolute expressions of the Earth's leaders. Flanked by a contingent of heavily armed and disciplined soldiers, the human representatives stood their ground, rejecting the Alliance's demands for immediate integration into the galactic order. Taken aback by this unexpected display of defiance, Xyloth struggled to maintain his composure, his eyes narrowing as he studied the humans with a mixture of contempt and growing unease. He had been sent to secure Earth's allegiance, not to engage in a conflict, but the unwavering determination he saw in the faces of the human leaders left him with little choice. Raising his hand, Xyloth issued a stern ultimatum, warning the humans that their refusal to comply would result in the full might of the Galactic Alliance being brought to bear upon their unsuspecting planet. But to his utter astonishment, the humans did not cower in fear. Instead, their leader, a charismatic and resolute individual named Amara, stepped forward, her eyes narrowing as she issued a defiant response that would echo through the stars. "We are no longer the weak, primitive species you have dismissed for so long," Amara declared, her voice clear and unwavering. "The time has come for the Galactic Alliance to acknowledge the true strength of humanity. We will not be subjugated, and we will not surrender our sovereignty. If you choose to attack, we will meet you with the full force of our determination and our technological might. The choice is yours, Xyloth, but be warned, the humans are no longer the easy prey you believed us to be." Stunned into silence, Xyloth could only stare in disbelief as the human leader's words sank in, realizing in that moment that the game had forever changed. The humans were no longer the weak, insignificant species the Alliance had so easily dismissed. They had evolved, grown stronger, and were now poised to challenge the very foundations of the galactic order. And as Xyloth turned to retreat, he knew that the future would be forever altered by this fateful encounter on the distant world of Earth. As Xyloth and his bewildered delegation hastily retreated to their spacecraft, the full impact of their encounter with the humans began to sink in. The arrogant Alliance envoy, once so confident in his ability to subjugate the primitive Earthlings, now found himself grappling with a growing sense of unease and disbelief. Back on the bridge of the Alliance flagship, Xyloth's report was met with a stunned silence from the highest echelons of the galactic government. The council members, accustomed to wielding absolute power over the lesser species that fell under the Alliance's domain, struggled to comprehend the implications of the humans' defiant stance. "Impossible," exclaimed the Xylarian ambassador, his tentacles twitching in agitation. "These humans are a backwater species, barely out of their infancy. How could they possibly possess the technological capabilities to defy the might of the Galactic Alliance?" Zaloth, his composure still rattled from the confrontation, could only shake his head in bewilderment. "I do not know, honored ambassador, but what I saw on that planet was no mere show of bravado. The humans were prepared, their soldiers armed with advanced weaponry, and their leaders displayed a remarkable resolve. They are not the same primitive race we have dismissed for centuries." The council chambers erupted into a cacophony of heated debates, with some members calling for immediate military action to crush the human upstarts, while others advocated for a more cautious, diplomatic approach. The delicate balance of power that had sustained the Galactic Alliance for millennia suddenly seemed to be in jeopardy, and the leaders knew that they could not afford to underestimate the humans again. As the council deliberations dragged on, reports began to filter in from other outposts and colonies, all conveying the same unsettling news. Across the galaxy, humans were making bold moves, forging alliances with marginalized species and sharing their advanced technologies in exchange for military support and strategic cooperation. The once isolated humans were now positioning themselves as a formidable force to be reckoned with, and the Alliance could no longer afford to ignore them. Faced with this growing threat, the Council reluctantly agreed to a course of action, a full-scale diplomatic and economic offensive aimed at isolating the humans and cutting off their burgeoning alliances. Trade embargoes, political pressure, and covert operations would all be employed to weaken the humans and force them back into the shadows, where they could be safely ignored. However, the humans proved to be resilient and adaptable, meeting the Alliance's aggression with a level of strategic sophistication that caught the galactic overlords off guard. Undeterred by the economic sanctions and diplomatic maneuvering, the humans continued to strengthen their ties with other species, leveraging their technological prowess and the sheer determination of their people to weather the storm. As the standoff dragged on, the Galactic Alliance found itself in an unfamiliar position, on the defensive, struggling to maintain its grip on the ever-shifting galactic landscape. The once unassailable power was now faced with the unsettling prospect of a true challenger to its dominance, a challenger that had emerged from the very civilization it had so long dismissed as weak and insignificant. Zaloth, now a senior advisor to the Council, watched the unfolding events with a mixture of trepidation and reluctant admiration. The humans, he realized, were no longer the easy prey the Alliance had believed them to be. They had evolved, grown stronger, and were now poised to reshape the very fabric of the galactic order. And as the Council debated their next move, Zaloth knew that the fate of the Galactic Alliance, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. As the tensions between the Galactic Alliance and the newly empowered humans continued to escalate, the Council found itself increasingly divided on the appropriate course of action. While the more conservative members advocated for a swift and decisive military intervention to crush the human upstarts, others argued for a more nuanced approach, wary of the unpredictable consequences of such a drastic move. Zaloth, now a senior advisor to the Council, found himself caught in the middle of the debate, his own views shaped by the first-hand experience of witnessing the humans' unexpected resolve and technological prowess. He had seen the determination in Amara's eyes, the unwavering defiance that had shaken the very foundations of the Alliance's complacent dominance, and as he listened to the heated arguments, he couldn't help but wonder if the Council's traditional methods of conquest and subjugation would be enough to quell the rising tide of human ambition. "We cannot afford to underestimate these humans again," Zaloth cautioned, his voice cutting through the din of the council chamber. "Their leader, Amara, has united her people in a way we have never seen before. They are no longer the isolated, fractured civilization we have dismissed for centuries. They are a force to be reckoned with, and if we act rashly, we risk incurring the wrath of not only the humans, but their growing network of alliances with other marginalized species." The Exilarian ambassador, his tentacles coiling in agitation, fixed Zaloth with a piercing glare. "And what would you have us do, Zaloth? Cower in fear and allow these primitives to challenge our supremacy? The Galactic Alliance has maintained its power for millennia through the strength of our military might and the unwavering loyalty of our subjects. We cannot afford to show weakness, not even to these upstart humans." Zaloth took a deep breath, knowing that his next words would not be well received by the more hawkish members of the Council. "I believe we must tread carefully, honored ambassador. A direct military confrontation may very well result in a protracted and costly conflict, one that could ultimately undermine the stability of the entire galactic order. Perhaps it is time we consider a more diplomatic approach, one that acknowledges the humans as equals and seeks to integrate them into the greater community rather than subjugating them by force." The chamber erupted into a chorus of outraged protests, with several council members denouncing Zaloth's suggestion as heresy. The idea of treating the humans as anything other than inferior subordinates was simply unthinkable to the entrenched power brokers of the Alliance. Amidst the uproar, the Vosari matriarch, a respected and influential voice on the council, raised a hand, commanding the attention of the room. "Zaloth makes a valid point," she said, her tone measured and deliberate. "We cannot afford to repeat the same mistakes that have led to the downfall of empires in the past. The humans have proven themselves to be a formidable adversary, and we would be wise to approach this situation with caution and diplomacy." The matriarch's words carried weight, and slowly the council fell silent, the members considering the implications of her statement. Zaloth, sensing a shift in the mood, pressed on, outlining a carefully crafted proposal that would offer the humans a path to integration and partnership, rather than outright conquest. As the council debated Zaloth's plan, the fate of the Galactic Alliance hung in the balance. For the first time in its storied history, the mighty Confederation found itself facing a true challenger, one that had emerged from the very civilization it had so long dismissed as weak and insignificant. And in the heart of the council chambers, Zaloth knew that the decisions made in the coming days would echo through the stars, forever altering the course of the galaxy. The heated debates within the Galactic Alliance council chambers raged on for days as the members grappled with the unprecedented challenge posed by the humans. The once unassailable power now found itself in uncharted territory, forced to confront the prospect of a legitimate rival to its dominance. Zaloth, the senior advisor who had witnessed the humans' defiant stand on Earth, continued to advocate for a more diplomatic approach, urging the council to consider the potential benefits of integrating the humans into the greater galactic community. His words, while met with staunch opposition from the more hawkish members, slowly began to sway the more pragmatic and far-sighted leaders. "Surely we can all agree that the humans have proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with," Zaloth argued, his voice steady and measured. "Their technological prowess, their strategic acumen, and their ability to forge alliances with other marginalized species, these are not the hallmarks of a weak, primitive civilization. If we continue down the path of outright conquest, we risk incurring the wrath of not only the humans, but their growing network of allies, and the resulting conflict could very well tear the Galactic Alliance apart." The Excelarian ambassador, his tentacles twisting in distress, vehemently opposed Zaloth's proposal. "You would have us treat these upstarts as equals, invite them into the hallowed halls of the Galactic Alliance as if they had earned the right to sit alongside our most esteemed civilizations. Preposterous. We have maintained our dominance for millennia through the subjugation of lesser species. The humans must be crushed, their defiance stamped out, lest they inspire others to follow in their footsteps." Sensing the growing tension in the chamber, the Vosari matriarch raised a hand, commanding the attention of the room. "Ambassador, while I understand your concerns, we must consider the long-term consequences of our actions. The humans have proven themselves to be a resourceful and adaptable species, and if we fail to find a diplomatic solution, we risk igniting a conflict that could devastate the entire galactic order." The matriarch turned her gaze towards Zaloth, her eyes narrowing as she contemplated his proposal. "Zaloth's plan has merit. By offering the humans a path to integration and partnership, we may be able to harness their technological and strategic capabilities for the betterment of the Galactic Alliance. At the very least, it is worth exploring this option before resorting to outright war." As the matriarch's words echoed through the chamber, the council members fell into a contemplative silence, the weight of the decision they faced palpable in the air. Zaloth, sensing an opportunity, pressed on, outlining the specifics of his proposal. A comprehensive diplomatic and economic integration plan that would grant the humans limited autonomy while tying their fate to the Galactic Alliance's continued prosperity. The more pragmatic council members, swayed by Zaloth's arguments and the matriarch's endorsement, began to consider the merits of this approach. They recognized that a protracted conflict with the humans and their growing network of allies could ultimately prove disastrous, not only for the Galactic Alliance's military might, but also its economic and political stability. Reluctantly, the council agreed to put Zaloth's proposal to a vote, a decision that would shape the future of the galaxy. The outcome, however, remained uncertain, as the deep-seated prejudices and entrenched power structures within the Alliance continued to push back against the notion of treating the humans as anything more than inferior subordinates. As the vote commenced, the fate of the Galactic Alliance, and perhaps the entire galactic order, hung in the balance, with Zoloth and his cautious allies pitted against the staunch defenders of the Alliance's traditional methods of conquest and subjugation. The tension in the Galactic Alliance Council chambers was palpable as the vote on Zoloth's diplomatic proposal commenced. The fate of the mighty Confederation, and perhaps the entire Galactic Order, hung in the balance as the members weighed the merits of integrating the humans as partners against the fiercely held belief that they should be crushed and subjugated. Zoloth, his gaze unwavering, watched as the council members cast their votes, his heart racing with a mix of hope and trepidation. He knew that this moment would be a pivotal one, not just for the humans, but for the very future of the Galactic Alliance itself. The final tally was close, with the more pragmatic and far-sighted leaders narrowly edging out the staunch defenders of the status quo. Zoloth allowed himself a small, relieved smile. The humans had been granted a path to integration, a chance to prove their worth and earn their place alongside the other advanced civilizations of the galaxy. However, the victory was bittersweet, as Zoloth knew that the conflict was far from over. The Hardliners, led by the Xelarian ambassador, had been outmaneuvered but not defeated, and they would undoubtedly continue to fight against this new course of action. As the council adjourned, Zoloth wasted no time in contacting Amara, the human leader whose defiant stand had set in motion the events that led to this pivotal moment. He knew that the humans would be wary of the Alliance's overtures, and rightly so. Centuries of dismissal and oppression had bred a deep distrust that would not be easily overcome. "Amara, this is Zoloth. I come to you with news that I hope you will find encouraging," he began, his voice laced with a sense of urgency. "The Council has voted to extend an offer of partnership and integration to the humans. It was a close vote, and I must warn you that there are still those who would seek to crush your people's aspirations. But for now we have secured a path forward, one that could lead to a new era of cooperation and mutual understanding between our civilizations." Amara's response was cautious, but not entirely unexpected. "Zoloth, I must admit that I am surprised by this development. For centuries, the Galactic Alliance has dismissed us as insignificant, and now you come to us with an offer of partnership. Forgive me if I am wary of your intentions." Zoloth nodded, understanding the human leader's skepticism. "I know that trust will not come easily, Amara. The Alliance has a long history of subjugating lesser species, and we have much to atone for. But I believe that this offer, if embraced, could be the start of a new chapter, one where the humans and the Galactic Alliance work together as equals to shape the future of the galaxy." Amara was silent for a moment, her brow furrowed in deep contemplation. "And what assurances can you give me, Zoloth, that this is not merely a ploy to lull us into a false sense of security, only to have the full weight of the Alliance brought down upon us?" Zoloth took a deep breath, knowing that he needed to tread carefully. "I cannot offer you ironclad guarantees, Amara. The Alliance is a complex and often divided institution, with competing factions and agendas. But I can promise you that I will do everything in my power to ensure that this partnership is built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. The humans have proven their mettle, and the Alliance would be foolish to dismiss your capabilities again." Amara's expression softened, a glimmer of hope appearing in her eyes. "Very well, Zoloth. We will cautiously accept your offer of partnership. But know this, if the Alliance attempts to betray us, we will meet you with the full force of our determination and our technological might. The humans are no longer the weak, insignificant species you once knew." Zoloth nodded, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "Understood, Amara. I look forward to working with you to build a better future for us all." With that, the line went silent, and Zoloth turned his gaze towards the stars, knowing that the path ahead would be paved with challenges, but also the potential for a new era of cooperation and progress. As the Galactic Alliance and the humans tentatively embarked on their new partnership, the uneasy truce was quickly tested by the growing tensions within the Alliance itself. The Hardliners, led by the Xelarian ambassador, remained fiercely opposed to the idea of treating the humans as equals, and they were determined to undermine the fragile agreement at every turn. Zoloth, who had played a pivotal role in securing the diplomatic breakthrough, found himself caught in the middle of the power struggle, navigating the treacherous political landscape with a keen eye and a steady hand. He knew that the success of this new alliance hinged on maintaining a delicate balance, one that would require him to tread carefully and employ every ounce of his diplomatic acumen. As the integration process began, the Xelarian ambassador and his allies launched a relentless campaign of economic sanctions, trade embargoes, and political maneuvering, all aimed at crippling the humans and forcing them to capitulate to the Alliance's demands. Amara and her team, however, proved to be equally adept at navigating the complex web of galactic politics, leveraging their strategic alliances and technological prowess to offset the alliance's punitive measures. The resulting standoff soon escalated into a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, with both sides jockeying for position and seeking to gain the upper hand. Xyloth, caught in the middle, found himself torn between his growing respect for the humans and his loyalty to the Galactic Alliance, a conflict that would ultimately test the limits of his principles and his commitment to the greater good. As the tensions reached a boiling point, the Xylarian ambassador and his allies made a fateful decision. They would resort to military force to crush the human upstarts and reassert the Alliance's dominance. Amassing a formidable armada, the Alliance launched a devastating offensive, raining down destruction upon the human-led coalition and their newfound allies. The resulting battle was a brutal, protracted affair, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The humans, driven by an unbreakable spirit and a determination to protect their hard-won autonomy, fought back with a ferocity that stunned even the most seasoned Alliance veterans. Their advanced weaponry, coupled with their tactical adaptability, allowed them to outmaneuver the technologically superior but rigidly structured Alliance forces. Xyloth, his heart torn between his loyalties, found himself caught in the crossfire, witnessing firsthand the devastating consequences of the conflict he had tried so hard to prevent. As the battle raged on, he began to question the very foundations of the Galactic Alliance, wondering if the price of maintaining its dominance was too high, especially in the face of a species that had proven its mettle and its unwavering commitment to self-determination. As the tide of the battle began to turn in favor of the humans and their allies, the Alliance leadership found itself in a precarious position. The once unassailable power was now facing the prospect of a humiliating defeat, a scenario that would shatter the myth of its invincibility and call into question the very legitimacy of its authority. Xyloth, sensing the growing panic within the council chambers, knew that drastic action was needed to avert a catastrophic outcome. He stepped forward, his voice cutting through the din of the battle reports and the frantic debates, and proposed a bold plan: a ceasefire and a return to the negotiating table, where the humans could be offered a true partnership based on mutual respect and shared prosperity. The council members, their faces etched with a mixture of reluctance and resignation, ultimately agreed to Xyloth's proposal, realizing that their only chance of preserving the Galactic Alliance's dominance was to swallow their pride and acknowledge the humans as equals. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but one that had become necessary in the face of an adversary that had proven its mettle and its determination to chart its own course among the stars. As the ceasefire took hold and the warring factions retreated to regroup, a palpable tension filled the air. The Galactic Alliance, once the undisputed ruler of the Galactic Order, now found itself in an unfamiliar position, facing the prospect of negotiating with the very species it had so long dismissed as weak and insignificant. Xyloth, the senior advisor who had advocated for this diplomatic approach from the outset, stood at the forefront of the negotiations, his gaze unwavering as he confronted the grim-faced members of the Alliance Council. He knew that the coming talks would be delicate, fraught with the weight of centuries of prejudice and mistrust, and that any misstep could shatter the fragile peace and plunge the galaxy into an even more devastating conflict. Across the negotiation table, Amara and her team of human representatives sat with an air of cautious optimism, tempered by the hard-earned wisdom that had been forged in the crucible of battle. They had fought long and hard to reach this point, to secure their rightful place in the galactic community, and they were determined not to squander this opportunity, even in the face of the Alliance's deeply entrenched resistance to change. As the talks commenced, Xyloth took the lead, his diplomatic skills honed to a razor's edge as he navigated the treacherous political landscape. He acknowledged the past transgressions of the Alliance, the dismissal and oppression that had fueled the humans' distrust, and he offered a sincere apology, a gesture that took the human representatives by surprise. "We have much to atone for, Amara," Xyloth said, his voice heavy with the weight of his words. "The Galactic Alliance has long held itself above the lesser species, believing in our own inherent superiority. But your people have proven that strength comes in many forms, not just in military might, but in innovation, adaptability, and an unwavering spirit. We were wrong to dismiss you, and we are here today to offer you a true partnership, one built on mutual respect and a shared vision for the future of the galaxy." Amara regarded Xyloth with a calculating gaze, her expression betraying neither acceptance nor rejection. "Your words are encouraging, Xyloth, but actions have always spoken louder than words. The humans have suffered greatly at the hands of the Galactic Alliance, and we will not easily forget the centuries of dismissal and oppression. If you truly seek a partnership, then you must be willing to make concessions to acknowledge our autonomy and our right to self-determination. The Excelarian ambassador, his tentacles coiling in barely concealed anger, interjected, his voice dripping with disdain. Concessions? You dare to demand concessions from the Galactic Alliance? We are the ones who have maintained order and prosperity across the galaxy for millennia. It is you, the humans, who should be grateful for this opportunity to join our ranks, not the other way around. Xyloth raised a hand, silencing the ambassador with a stern glare. Ambassador, your words only serve to undermine the delicate nature of these negotiations. If we are to move forward, we must be willing to compromise, to acknowledge the humans as equals and grant them a seat at the table. Their technological prowess and strategic acumen have already proven to be a force to be reckoned with. Denying them their rightful place would be a grave mistake. The council members fell into a tense silence, the weight of Xyloth's words hanging in the air. Amara, sensing an opportunity, leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. Very well, Xyloth, we are willing to consider a true partnership, but the terms must be fair and equitable. The humans will not settle for anything less. Xyloth nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Then let us begin, Amara. The future of the galaxy depends on our ability to find common ground and forge a path forward together. As the negotiations commenced, the fate of the Galactic Alliance and the humans hung in the balance, with the stakes higher than ever before. The negotiations between the Galactic Alliance and the humans were arduous and at times painfully tense. Decades of mistrust and resentment had created a chasm that would not be easily bridged, and both sides found themselves having to make difficult concessions in order to reach a mutually acceptable agreement. Xyloth, the senior advisor who had championed the diplomatic approach from the beginning, played a crucial role in navigating the treacherous political landscape, using his keen diplomatic instincts and deep understanding of the alliance's inner workings to broker a deal that would satisfy the demands of both parties. After weeks of painstaking deliberations, the final terms of the partnership were announced, and the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see the outcome of this historic moment. Under the new agreement, the humans were granted a level of autonomy and self-determination that had been unheard of for any species under the Galactic Alliance's domain. They were afforded a seat on the Council, with equal voting rights and a voice in the shaping of the Galactic Order. In exchange, the humans agreed to share their advanced technologies and strategic expertise, bolstering the Alliance's military and economic capabilities. The Excelarian ambassador and his hardline faction were furious, denouncing the deal as a betrayal of the Alliance's principles. They railed against the idea of treating the primitive humans as equals, insisting that they should have been crushed and subjugated rather than elevated to a position of power. But Xyloth and the more pragmatic members of the Council held firm, recognizing that the humans had proven their worth on the battlefield and that their inclusion in the galactic community could be a boon for the Alliance's long-term stability and prosperity. As the news of the historic agreement spread through the stars, the humans were hailed as heroes, their unexpected triumph over the mighty Galactic Alliance earning them the respect and admiration of the wider galactic community. Amara and her team were lauded for their unwavering determination and their strategic brilliance, and the humans found themselves at the forefront of a new era of cooperation and mutual understanding. The Galactic Alliance, once the undisputed ruler of the galaxy, had been forced to radically overhaul its policies and approach. The myth of its invincibility had been shattered, and it now had to acknowledge the humans as equals, a bitter pill to swallow for the entrenched power brokers who had long believed in their own superiority. But as the dust settled and the new partnership took root, the Galactic Alliance began to reap the benefits of its decision. The humans, with their innovative technologies and strategic acumen, proved to be invaluable allies, helping to strengthen the Alliance's military and economic might. The once isolated species had now become an integral part of the galactic community, their inclusion paving the way for a more stable and prosperous future. Xyloth, in the twilight of his career, watched the unfolding events with a sense of pride and vindication. He had fought hard to bring the humans into the fold, recognizing the immense potential they held, and his gamble had paid off. The galaxy, once dominated by the rigid hierarchy of the Galactic Alliance, was now on the cusp of a new era, one where the humans and their allies would help shape the course of the stars. As the celebrations echoed through the halls of power, Xyloth knew that the path ahead would not be without its challenges. The lingering resentment of the hardliners and the delicate nature of the new partnership would require vigilance and diplomacy to maintain. But he was confident that the humans, with their unwavering spirit and their newfound place in the galactic community, would rise to the occasion, forever altering the balance of power in the universe. The once dismissed humans had proven their mettle, and the galaxy would never be the same.